So welcome to today's webinar, Casting Your Intentional Network with Imani, Missouri, class of '08. Before we begin, I want to introduce myself and our program to you. I'm Dana Olivo, the Assistant Director of Alumni Career and Professional Networks and Career Programs here at Smith, a mouthful. I work on programs and events such as these that bring Smithies together to connect and build skills around their professional goals. In addition to our virtual events, our team offers in-person networking opportunities, connects Smith alums with career coaches like Imani, and we compile on-demand resources for you to access at any time to meet your individual needs. We have a fabulous YouTube page with past recordings of our sessions. We will share out to you in our follow-up email, as well as this will be recorded as well and will be added. We have a great LinkedIn page. If you have not yet added yourself to that group, it's great. There's over 4,800 Smithies so far in the group, and every day I am accepting more and more. So the word is getting out there, and this is a really good opportunity to build your professional connections with other Smithies online. Anything a Smithy needs to find your version of career or post-career success and fulfillment exists within our network. Our team is here to help you find it. Imani is a principal owner of Faith Forward LLC, where she leverages the essence of faith to inspire social impact leaders and communities to dream bigger for a brighter future in the areas of personal and leadership development, community development, and equity, diversity, and inclusion. She obtained her BA in social psychology from Smith in 2008, an MS in urban policy analysis and management from the New School, a graduate certificate in social entrepreneurship from SUNY Empire State, and certificates in women's entrepreneurship and financial management through Cornell University. She serves on the Medical Committee for Smith College and is the board chair for Development, a 501c3 re-empowering the global Black community through historically centered re-education that empowers aspiring Black visionaries to develop their world differently. We're so lucky to have you here with us, Imani, and I'll throw it over to you to get us started with today's workshop.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dana. I greatly appreciate that introduction, and I'm so excited to be with you all today. So just a little secret, LinkedIn is my playground. So much so, sometimes I have to put myself on like intermittent fasting when it comes to LinkedIn. So I'm really excited about this time that we have together to just really explore networking and then leveraging LinkedIn for that networking. So welcome again to Casting an Intentional Network. And the reason why there's an emphasis on intentional and net is because networking really has to do with people, right? And as we evolve and we grow over time, our networks evolve and grow with us. There are people who may have served us as, like where we were maybe a couple of years out from Smith, that vary right now with where we are in our career and our lives. There may be points of, pauses in our career, maybe because we're taking sabbatical or because things have happened in our lives. And the beauty of being a Smith alum is that there's always opportunity to connect. And there are so many people that Smithies know. So as I said, I'm really looking forward to our time together and delving into this. So now, who am I? Yes, Dana shared a little bit more about me, just even some of the things that I have accomplished, but I just wanted to kind of highlight just some key headers. I consider myself a bridge to opportunities. Like I really love connecting people to opportunity, whether that is something very specific or a network or an actual person. I see myself, and I'm always, especially again with LinkedIn being my playground, whenever I come across opportunities, I'm thinking about somebody else in mind, even beyond me. So I'm definitely a bridge to opportunities. I work with clients one-on-one, also in groups around leadership development, personal development, and executive coaching. Come alongside leaders, especially social impact leaders, to build out their vision and mission for the work that they would like to do as a strategist. And ultimately, I am a servant leader. My entire career has been in the social impact nonprofit sector, and I thoroughly enjoy serving people, serving causes, and helping to move mission forward. So you heard a little bit about me, and you came here to network. So guess what we're about to do? That very thing. So there's going to be times when we are, having individual reflection, when we're going to be in group breakouts. Don't be too alarmed. I scaled this. And then also times when we're coming back whole group. So this is going to be an opportunity for you to really just share a little bit more about yourself. It's fairly light, fairly light. But again, to kind of get you in the mode of connecting, because that's what we're here to do. So in this breakout, I want to know who we have in the room. So you kind of see some examples of, I was thinking about a hotel, partly because I really wish that I was away right now on a beach. And so I was thinking about different categories, right? So the standard is name, location, class year, right? You're going to have an opportunity to share that. Thinking more of junior suite. One thing that you longed or that you longed to do at Smith, but you didn't or you have yet to do. And then the deluxe room, it'll be, if you had to generally rate your approach to networking on a scale from 1 to 5, would it be 1, I'd rather stay in my lane at home, on my own? Is it meh, kind of a little indifferent? Is it 3, I'll show up for a portion of it? So think about show up, whether it's in person or even if it's virtual, but you'll show up for a portion, but you're really like counting down to the time that you have to exit. 4, let's chat now and in a few weeks. Like you have that energy that you really want to connect and have that immediate follow-up. And then 5 is kind of like your social butterfly, keep the connections coming. Okay. So you're going to go into this breakout. Again, you're sharing name, location, class year. One thing that you long to do or still long to do at Smith that you haven't yet. And then if you had to rate your approach to networking on a scale of 1 to 5, what would it be? So we will see you back in about, I think, 3 minutes would be good. 3 minutes would be good. Welcome back, everyone. All right, I see smiles. Wonderful. That's what we're aiming for. We have some smiles going on. That's good. That's good. So I'm curious if anyone would like to share what's one thing maybe they long to do at Smith that they didn't get a chance to do, or if you're currently at Smith or still have hopes and dreams about still doing that at Smith. What is that one thing? Don't be shy.
Probably learn more about the greenhouse and botany and planting, because I find that I'm missing a lot of nature living in New York City.
Oh, you're here in the concrete jungle right along with me, Ellen. I completely
Yes, I
understand.
am.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Ellen. Anyone else?
I think I had said I wished I had done more in the architecture and urban planning arena at Smith.
Okay, thank you. And is it Anna or Anna?
Anna.
Anna. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I actually wish that I probably would have taken a class so I took a class at UMass, I took a class at Mount Holyoke. But I didn't take a class at Amherst, didn't take a class at Hampshire. So I really wish I would have gotten to all of the other colleges to take a class. But again, the coordination of the bus schedule and my other classes didn't quite coordinate that way, but that's something that I would do. And so while I'm about to share my screen again, I would just like folks to just put in the chat just kind of like their score rating from 1 to 5 in terms of their approach to connecting and to networking. And we are going to, just so we can kind of see who's also in the room. So 1, kind of like, yep, rather stay in my lane at home. 2, meh. Kind of, or do we have any keep it coming amongst us? All right, we have some 1s. All right, well, look, 1s, I congratulate you for even being here. Oh, we got a 4, we got a 3.5. Okay. All right, we have some borderline social butterflies amongst us. That's good. We have a 5. All right. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Imani, you are the social butterfly.
I'm the social butterfly. Oh my goodness. If you would only see some of my assessments, Ellen, you would be very surprised. You'll be very surprised. So yes, here is what we are going to journey through today. We're going to take some time to demystify networking and really address the mindset, because a lot of what it is, again, even that rating that you kind of did, like that self rating, a lot of it has to do with our perceptions around networking, around connecting with people, right? Or even how we just even approach relational intelligence, and really want some time for you to really reflect on that so that we can implement and activate some strategies of being very intentional. And then we'll have some time for some Q&A and closing. So with that, what is networking? It is as simple as you see it here. It's an exchange of information and ideas. And it's an opportunity to really connect around common interests, or to seek common ground even. It can take place in formal, informal settings. Here we are right now. This is a community. The common ground is that we have the connection of Smith. And this is somewhat informal, right? And then it's also an opportunity to go wide or go deep. So what do I mean by that? Go wide as in go as far reaching as possible beyond what is your current niche, or go deep with whoever is within your current catchment of connections. How then do you go deeper and become more intentional about cultivating those particular relationships? Because networking, it's intended to not be transactional, right? This is an opportunity for you to develop authentic relationships that, again, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. Granted, when you are networking, there may be a transaction that comes out of it, but the goal is not to be transactional. It's actually to really, really connect and to learn and exchange ideas, information. So as I shared, mindset really, really matters. So if you have a writing device, here's an opportunity for us to kind of do like a SWOT, right? SWOT analysis of how it is that we even view networking. What I would like for you to do is just kind of create kind of like, quadrant just like this, and just jot down some initial strengths. So when you think about strengths in terms of like your mindset, what are some high points in terms of how it is that you view networking? What are some of like the ultra high points, positives around networking for you? Then when you think about weaknesses, what are some of the things that kind of you feel like you're not necessarily as equipped with yet? But there again, there's that opportunity, right? But maybe some areas that it's just like, okay, maybe that area could be executive presence. Maybe that area can be, maybe I've been very accustomed to a digital environment and needing to get back in person, right? Whatever that may be for you. And then some opportunities. As you're viewing networking, what do you feel are the prime opportunities for you for where you are right now? For where you are right now at your personal, professional juncture. And then threats, anything that you feel that could potentially hinder you. So strengths, kind of like, what are those high points? What are those kind of like optimistic views of networking? Weaknesses, what are kind of those areas that you feel like, okay, I can, I may not have them yet, but these are kind of some skills that I need to work on. Opportunities, what are some opportunities that you have to look forward to, especially if you hone in on those skills in those areas? And what are some threats? What are some things that you perceive to be a hindrance? So I'll give you about another minute and a half to just kind of reflect on that really quickly. So what's interesting that you may find that some of the things that you documented in terms of your perspective around networking can be found right here in terms of some of the apprehensions, right? Some of the things that kind of stall you from proceeding, right? That you probably have some anxiety around. And this is sourced from actually a Forbes article, Why You're Afraid of Networking. And then I added number 4. So the author says, you don't think of yourself as a networker, right? And again, going back to what networking is, this exchange of ideas, information, common ground. 2, you feel like you're not supposed to be there. Now, again, that there can be in person, that there can be also in the virtual space as well. You don't necessarily feel adequate, right? 3, you're afraid of success, which is also something that's very, very real. And 4, which I have often found to be the case when I work with clients, but then also something that I had to grow in, is this fear of rejection, right? Where if I put myself out there, how am I going to be perceived? Are they going to respond, right? So those are all some of our apprehensions when it comes to networking. Now that you jotted down some of kind of like the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and some threats and how it is you perceive networking, I want you to now jot down, thinking more utopia, right? Best case scenario. What are some strengths that you have both personally and professionally? Jot those strengths down, personally and professionally. And based off of those strengths, so maybe one personal strength may be that you are a performing artist. What can be an opportunity there is maybe they have, kind of an open mic in your area, right? That happens once a month, right? So as you think about the strengths that you have, jot those down personally and professionally. What are some opportunities that you can see where you can kind of flex those strengths? Maybe on the professional side, it could be a particular skill set that you have. Maybe you are very skilled in a particular, tech platform, right? Even before we got on, and I did this in Canva. Dana is really, really great with Canva, right? It presented an opportunity for her to even assist in just even this opportunity to even connect and to be with you all. But think in terms of hard skill, think of your career, your field, and what do you believe are the opportunities? Could those opportunities be associations? Could those opportunities be a service that you could provide, paid or unpaid? So take a moment to jot some of those things down, and I'll give you about 2 minutes to do that. And each one of you has a strength. So what Imani does not want to hear and what Imani will not accept is that you do not have any strengths. Each one of you have strengths.
I want to hear how Dana has experience in Canva.
Well, guess what? You're about to have an opportunity to actually, and Dana, when they come back, if you want to share, I'm going to give you the opportunity to share some of those strengths, because it's one thing, again, when we're, like fear, apprehension, right? It's appearing as though it's real. And yes, that may be a feeling that you have. But now that you have a visual, you've jotted down, here are some areas that you are strong in. What value can that bring to the world, right? A network, your community. I'm going to give you an opportunity to go into our next and last breakout for you to have a conversation. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes where you're going to share more about those strengths and some opportunities. And I encourage you that while you're in the breakout, to also, as you're listening to what others are sharing, any ideas that come to you about a potential opportunity where they can share that gift, that talent, that skill. Okay? So I'm going to give 4 minutes. So everyone got an opportunity to get their juices flowing in terms of sharing their strengths, right? And to get some feedback just around opportunities around their skills, their talents, their gifts. Because now we are going to talk LinkedIn, okay? Wanted you to, again, address kind of some of the apprehensions, but then to position yourself into thinking about what it is that you actually bring to the table, both personally and professionally, so that then we can have a reflection and be able to see some tangible pieces around LinkedIn. So before we go into sharing the, how do I find people? How do I do this? I want to lay the groundwork. Again, social psychology, a lot of what it is that I looked at was in-group, out-groups, right? How it is that people interact with each other across classification, right? And across groupings and labels. And all of us, each one of us, have folks that are in our in-group and those that are in our out-group. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing, but it is something for us to be mindful of. So that in-group, that's where there's this sense of belonging, significance, and, respect. And the out-group is where there's some exclusion, right? Around certain affiliations or social identities. And again, it's not necessarily that it's a bad thing, because there's no way that we're going to be connected to everyone, right? Or that every single person is going to serve an intentional purpose for where we are in our lives, but it is something to be mindful of, because sometimes we can perceive someone not to be beneficial to wherever we're going and our pursuits, and we could very much be wrong. Okay. So I know that prior to this, we encouraged you to kind of have a LinkedIn account. That was number one. I want to invite you to actually pull up your account right now and just take a look at your current network. So I'm going to give folks some time, whether you're pulling it up on your app, on your phone, or you have to pull it up in another tab. But want to give you some time to reflect on your current network. And as you're scrolling through, this doesn't have to be long, but I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to kind of reflect on these prompts. What diversity do you see reflected in your network? Who is in your in-group? So even as you're thinking about LinkedIn, when you're looking at those first degree, connections, where's the majority of the folks that you believe that, what's kind of that inner group that you really, really connect with? Are they those that you graduated with? Are they ones that are in your particular industry? Who's that in group for you? Who are your thought partners? Maybe some of your thought partners are not on LinkedIn. That's also okay. But it could be someone that is an aspirational thought partner, right? Maybe it's someone that you are following and you're paying attention to things that they post, contributions that they have to the platform. It could be industry related. It could be issues based. They could be thought partners to you. Again, maybe you don't know them one-on-one, but you follow them kind of for their content. What kinds of people, whether it's industry, interests, or et cetera, should be added? And what opportunities do you have to expand your in-group? So I'm going to give you about another minute and a half to, again, as you're looking, just do kind of a scan of your current network on LinkedIn. What diversity is there? Who's in your in-group? Who are your thought partners? And again, those could be one-on-one people that you know, or it could be someone that you look out for, what it is that they're sharing in terms of content. What kinds of people or industry should be added to your network, and what opportunities do you have to expand? So in terms of your network, so when you were first coming on LinkedIn, first mine automates kind of like when I type it in, because I'm here often, that it'll just come to my profile, right? But you will start kind of at your home page. And even if you're on your profile, you can also see connections, kind of like where you see here like 500 plus, right? I would click that and just see kind of like who's the who in my group, right? Who's in my in group, kind of what's the kind of category and the grouping for those people. So when thinking about being intentional, right? That is determined by you, right? So maybe right now you're wanting to expand your network beyond what it is that you see. Maybe you're wanting to go deeper. Maybe you are wanting to connect with folks. Maybe you're considering a graduate program, right? Or changing career. Whatever that may be for you, that is your respective goal and your respective intention. I first want to just kind of give you kind of some basics. So here you're seeing I have a premium account. Okay. So what that means is that there are certain things that I may have access to if you don't necessarily have a premium account, in terms of reaching out to people who are in my third degree of connection, right? That's a benefit that I have of just reaching out, or those that have a premium account. You have a benefit of reaching out to folks directly, right, in your third degree. But if you don't have that, there may be some limitations, right? This is kind of, again, homepage. If you come up to the top here, right, you click on kind of like your icon of who you are. You have some settings and privacy that you can, put into your account. So for example, if you're looking at, if you're scrolling opportunities or you're scrolling through people's profile, and this is just so amazing to me of how the lag is right now, because this was not the case earlier. But if you want to set up something in particular for your account preferences, you can do so here, right? So visibility, I believe, is something that's key that you can choose. So off to the left-hand side, you click visibility, you can choose what it, like what it is that you want people to see when they're coming across your profile, right? So for me, I have it that is my name and my headline. So folks that I'm not necessarily connected to are not going to see much else from me, right? You could set up who you want to see your last name. You can set up here like what exactly your connections have access to, right? And then if there's also people that you want to block, you can do so here as well. Okay. Another option is data privacy. You can decide here who you want to connect with you, whether it's outside of your current network or not. You can do that here. Okay. So those are kind of like tidbits, basic in the settings. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to some ways that you can intentionally find people and connect. And the reason why I stopped sharing is just to kind of alleviate the lag. So my apologies there. So just like X, formerly Twitter, or Instagram, or even TikTok, something that you can do to expand your network is leverage hashtags. So for example, if anyone is here and say that you are curious about engineering, whether it's an opportunity or whatever, hashtag, and then you will put engineering in that search bar, right? And as you do that, and you complete that search, what you're now going to see is opportunities that are even, whether it's people posted something, whether it's in folks' profile, that they have that as a part of their profile, that they're engineers or that they're studying in the field. Or like I said, it could also be job opportunities. So right now, what you're probably seeing for me, like at the top here, you see posts, jobs, people, companies, products, groups, school, right? So I just did the hashtag engineering. And what's showing up for me is Sasha Bell. I don't know who Sasha Bell is. You can tell that because it's a third degree of connection for me. But Sasha apparently posted something that had a relation to do with engineering. Now, maybe Sasha posted something that I found to be interesting, right? What I could do is I can interact with Sasha's post by either commenting on it, reacting to it, right? For those that probably don't linger on LinkedIn as much, there's now this option to react. You could like it, celebrate it, support it, love the post, share that it's insightful, or you can laugh at it, even if you found it to be funny, right? Here's someone else that posted something as well. So you can leverage hashtags for those kind of connections. And you could also, like I said, even with these tabs up top, you can sift through whether it's a post, whether it's a job. Let's just see, right? You can leverage the hashtags to kind of find opportunities as well. Look at that. I selected job. Now all of these opportunities are showing up that are connected to engineering in some way, shape, or form. There's somewhere in that job description that has something to do with engineering. And if I wanted to connect with people, again, that first tab that you saw, whether it was the post, people, groups, I would select people. I'm going to stop my share just to see if there's any questions so far. So I'm also being mindful of the time.
So do these people or posts have the hashtag engineering included in their profiles or
They
jobs?
may, or it can be that, again, because of AI, right? There's just this connection, especially. So for example, if it was a person who did a post about an opportunity, they may leverage hashtags to drive traffic to that opportunity. But when I clicked on that tab of jobs, now it's just showing me all the jobs that are related to that hashtag. That hashtag could be hashtag psychology. That hashtag could be hashtag project management. It could be hashtag coaching, right? And you would see whether it's someone that posted it. You could see it by job. You could also select by groups. I know that, go ahead.
So for example, my profile does not have any hashtags in it at all, like none. I don't have any hashtags in my profile. I've posted things when I've hired people with hashtags, but I have nothing in my profile that has any hashtags at all.
You don't have to, Constance, you do not have to have a hashtag in your profile. But in terms of if you wanted to be, again, intentional about expanding your network to either connect with people or opportunities, leveraging the hashtags are a great way to do so, especially if you're just kind of looking for kind of a very strategic, quick way to be able to sift through, right?
Okay.
But you have to know exactly what it is that you're looking for, right? So for example, I know that there was a question related to, how do I connect with recruiters? Here, with this opportunity that you're probably seeing for this project developer opportunity, again, with the premium showing me that Amanda is the person who posted it. That may not necessarily be the case for every single opportunity, right? But there's some times when you are able to contact the person directly and just reach out to them to express an interest. If that's not the case, that you're not, you don't necessarily want to reach out to the person directly, what you can do is you can go to your profile here where you see open to, you would go here and you would select whether it's you're open to services or you're open to, I'm open to finding a new job, right? Or maybe you're a hiring manager, right? And you want to share that you have opportunities, services that you want to showcase. That's where you would do that in your profile with open to. So going back to what it is that I shared in terms of connections, right? So even if we went back to leveraging that the hashtag, as you can see, even in my search, I have finance, right? So let's say that I would like to connect with someone in the finance industry. I would, again, leverage that hashtag. What's going to show up again is kind of a whole of whether it's people, posts, and if I wanted to connect with someone, I would see who's in my network that has anything to do with finance, first and foremost, okay? So right now what's showing up is post, and you see that this person, you're probably seeing as this person is third degree connection for me. If I found it to be very interesting, that I could reach out to that person, but again, being very intentional and strategic. So I go up at the top and I select people. As I select people, it's going to give a list of all of those that have something to do with finance, either in their title, maybe even an organization or a company that they were at. Again, a very strategic way to kind of be very intentional and to reach out to folks. So the very first couple of people that I'm seeing are people that are not in my first degree of connection, right? They're in my second degree, and it's showing me who I'm connected to that's connected to this said person that has something to do in the realm of finance, right? Now, if I wanted to go deep, I can reach out to one of these people I'm already connected to and
Yeah.
let them know I've come across so-and-so, in this case, Aisha's profile. Would you mind making an intro? I see that you're also connected to Aisha. Would you mind making an introduction, right? But then I could also, right? Here's something that I would advise. So I'm going to click on Aisha as an example. If you are going to connect with someone, I know that it seems very quick and easy to just click this connect. But when that happens, the person just sees your name and they see nothing else. They don't even know the context of your outreach. When you click more, you will have the opportunity to draft something that's very specific to that person. Again, if you just click connect, they're just going to see your name. And sometimes people may or may not respond, right? But if it's more, sometimes people may have it that you can send a direct message. I can send a direct message to her, right? And then if I wanted to send her profile to someone I'm already connected to, I could also do that. But I would encourage you, when it's time for connecting, there'll be an option for you to send a message to make it more personalized. Okay. And again, this was kind of more of the technical pieces of how you can leverage the hashtags. You can leverage it for opportunity, for people, even for groups. Okay. Now, when it's time to say you have already sent the connection to the person, and you're going to have this, we're going to send this to you as a follow-up. There's a set number of characters that you can send, especially for someone who's in maybe your second degree of connection or your third degree of connection, right? So what I have included here is an outreach template. When you're addressing the person and you're being as clear, concise as to the purpose behind your outreach. And just let them know you look forward to connecting. You look forward to having a conversation with them, okay? You can also divulge, again, if it's something that's more industry related, or you're at a juncture where you're considering a career change, you're more than welcome to, if you are at a place to comfortably share that, to also include that, right? Like or you don't necessarily say I'm changing my career. You could say I'm exploring opportunities in the healthcare industry, or I'm exploring
People you're
opportunities.
following versus connected to, does that apply to them or not?
Say that again, Elizabeth.
If it's somebody you're following, but you're not connected to on LinkedIn, can you make a similar reach out with
That's a great
this
question.
method or
Yes,
not?
that's a great question. Yes. So there is a difference between connecting. So if you're following that person, you would go back to that profile and you could send that person, you could request to connect, or send them, sometimes people will even have their email and their about me, right? Where you would send something like this to actually take it to the next level beyond you just following them for kind of maybe what it is that they post, or, kind of like their influence. But that's a great question, Elizabeth. Great question.
Yeah, because some of the people that I have on mine are people I'm following for information,
Not
but I'm not a
necessarily
quote
exactly
unquote friend officially on first connection.
correct. Great point, and great question. Thank you for that. Now, after you've made that connection, here are some recommendations, okay? So I don't know who's familiar with Heavy D, but he was the late Heavy D, but he was like a hip hop artist like back in the day. And he has this song like, now that we found love, what are we going to do with it? Right? So now that you've made this connection, what are you going to do with it? After you send that request and they accept the invitation, I highly, highly encourage you. Thank you so-and-so for accepting my invitation to connect. Because how many of us are on our phones or in our emails day to day, and we're just like swipe, 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 yes, 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 but we're not retaining it. When you acknowledge that they accepted that invite, then they're like, oh, wait, hold on. Who did I accept again? Right? Then giving you probably like a 1 to 2 week window and runway, right? Follow up with that connection, especially if it's someone you really, really want to have a conversation with. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon. Hope your week is going well. Whatever pleasantries you want to include, right? I was wondering if we can set up 15 to 30 minutes to connect more formally on whatever that thing is. Let people know the amount of time that you're asking of them up front, right? Because everyone's busy, right? And then the purpose, the initial purpose, right? You give them some time to reply. If they don't reply, I've even had to do follow-ups. I still give about a couple of days even for them to reply to my invitation to connect more formally. Once you have that time on the calendar, you've met with, I would say to definitely send them a note of gratitude. And then also, networking is not about just what you can get, but it's also about what you can give, right? So you could document those next steps that came from that introduction, right? That phone call or that Zoom or that Google Meet. And you can offer up resource like, oh, thank you so much for the conversation we had about this graduate program I'm considering. I came across this, this blog where recent alums from this particular program contributed, like, what are your thoughts here? You can offer up resources as well. And those resources can be thought pieces, okay? You can also ask them, do they recommend that you connect with someone else to continue that conversation? Okay. And then maybe what came out of that conversation is another date to follow up. Okay. So you want to make sure you get that kind of on the calendar. And then here's where it gets interesting. I have intermittent engagement. So what this means is, all right, you've made the connection with the person, you did the follow-up, your priority intention for making that connection, that was established, great. You never know how in the future this particular connection, what can come out of that relationship. So here's some options for you. engage with their post. I know that I briefly showed like reactions. When I say engage, I'm talking about a little bit more than just the reaction, because now you already had a conversation with this person, right? So it could be writing under their post, oh, thank you for sharing this, or I'm commenting to raise visibility to your post. I also see people do that, right? It could be a holiday greeting. Again, you can share a noteworthy resource, and or you can follow up with them with regards to a recent or new development in your life. Okay. But that's something that's on a continuum. That's on a continuum. So now I would like to, thanks for those that had the flexibility to stick around, but just curious, like what's lingering, what's sticking, any other questions that I can address, or can look into if I don't have an immediate answer right now that I could provide as a resource or follow-up for those that'll watch the replay.
Well, this is Elizabeth. One question I have is I'm a premium member like yourself. I'm not sure I'm fully utilizing all the advantages of that. Are there a couple quick takeaways for this group of things that those of us who are premium members can do that would be helpful to ourselves?
Absolutely. I believe one of the greatest benefits as a premium is, especially for those that are not necessarily in your second degree, but they're in your third degree. And those are kind of like what we would probably perceive as like cold outreaches, right? That's an advantage that you have as a premium member, right? That you may not be connected to them, no way, shape, or form, but it's somebody that you may have an intention to. You can send them a direct message in the same way that you would send an email.
Okay.
I believe that I have definitely found to be beneficial. There's also, like updates that you can do even with your profile, right? As it's related to maybe a more expansive headline or bio, the bio portion of your page, that you could elaborate. And as you kind of expand your presence on LinkedIn, you may even have the option to be deemed as a LinkedIn, like thought partner or a creative on LinkedIn because you have this premium account. There's times that I receive information from LinkedIn on a mass level that's like, hey, we posted this article. We would like your opinion on this, right? That's kind of like benefit of premium. Like we would like your voice contributing to this blog we posted, or this conversation that's going on. And what that does is it expands your network and expands your contributions. Where you can cast that net even wider, Elizabeth. Any other questions? I know we touched upon kind of like privacy components. Yes, Moitri?
This is regarding like the transactional aspect of it. I did a career change and I want to reach back out to the networks from before, but I'm like having a hard time with that outreach because I feel like, what do I have to offer? And I don't want to burden them. And it feels like they may look at it as like I want something from them and be transactional. So I'm trying to just change my viewpoint of it.
Got it. Okay. These are people you are currently connected to, Moitri, on LinkedIn. Okay. What I would nudge you to do is you could potentially just reach out to them and say, hey, just checking in and see how the year is going for you. Wondering if you have time for us to reconnect. Right? That's just a little bit more open.
Yeah.
It acknowledges that there's probably been a gap in communication, right? And you won't necessarily have to give too much that you're not necessarily ready and ready to give upfront. But again, it's a little bit more of a light touch. Hey, I know it's been some time. How's the year been going for you? Wondering if you have a couple of minutes over the next couple of weeks. Again, be as specific as possible so that the person can respond accordingly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anyone else?
I had a quick question. You showed earlier how to block someone from your network. If you
Yes.
do that, do they get notified that they've been blocked? How does
Nope.
that work?
Nope, they don't. They do not get notified at all. You would go on the back end and kind of select who this particular person is that you want to block, and then there are things that just will not be visible to them at all about your profile, your whereabouts, and things of that nature.
And so would your name even populate in their search?
That's interesting. That I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
so. But I'll confirm, Constance.
Yeah,
I'll
I've never really blocked anyone. I have to like removed connections, frankly.
Mhm.
I've just kind of dropped off connections that I accepted that I thought seemed kind of benign. And then all of a sudden they kept coming after me for jobs or kept coming after me
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
information.
Absolutely.
And it was uncomfortable. And so I've kind of deleted connections, hoping that they notice I'm not really a number one with them anymore, but I've never
Mhm.
blocked anyone.
But now you are more than welcome to, especially if you don't want anything to do with that. You
Yeah,
have
like, I mean,
permission to.
I'll give you an example, like someone, after my position was posted,
Mhm.
connected with me, which I thought no biggie. And then they kept following up as to why I chose to leave that organization. And it was
Wow.
really getting like, I couldn't like sidetrack the conversation. Like I just responded saying,
Yeah.
good luck. And I'm so glad you applied. And they kept trying to write me back asking, so why did you leave the organization?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I didn't really know this person that well. And finally, besides disconnecting the connection that I agreed to connect with when they reached out to me, when I began to realize I was getting like a weekly question on this, I wanted to just kind of stop this person. Now, thankfully, years have gone by and hopefully that person has moved on. But I
Yeah.
remember thinking like I've already disconnected the connection. And I wondered if she even knew we were no longer connected.
I don't think she would get a notification.
Okay, yeah, because years have gone by, and frankly, time really helps with a lot of things. But
Yeah.
it was the one time where I was like regretful that I accepted a connection that kept asking me questions.
Yes. And that's also, there are times when I would say that you may get, this is for everyone, that you may get requests that are not, that could be more spam, right?
Right.
People who are trying to sell you something, sell a product, and it could also be a bot, right? It may not actually be a real person. So you want to be very discerning, again, when people are requesting an invite, that
Yeah.
you're looking at their profile and really getting a sense of really what's their background. Is this a legitimate person? Is this someone that I want in my network? Okay. Got about like 5 more minutes if
Yeah.
folks had other questions. Again, we talked about privacy, and I'm just going to someone had posed a question like, how do they determine someone worth connecting to or investing their time with? Again, that's very much up to you, like really evaluating where you are at this particular point in your life, in your career, and who you want to connect with and why, right? Sometimes we can reach out to a person, and just like there's times when we can apply to an opportunity and it can look real good on paper. And then beyond that, everything that glitter isn't gold, right? It's the same as it's connecting with people, right? Maybe, you could be admiring someone's accomplishments. You could reach out to them, but when you have the conversation with them, maybe the communication falls flat. Not necessarily on your end, right? But just what you were hoping to gain from that connection was not, necessarily as fruitful. So I would encourage, again, to just, as a follow-up, to those tips, right? Following up with that person, thanking them for their time, and see if they have someone else that they recommend that you speak to. Okay. Any other questions?
I had a question. I was wondering how important it is to be a content creator. I know a lot of people, like, especially it seems like just the people who are trying to promote their own business or services, they're posting all the time, but then they're flooding the feed. And you know, I don't want to post just to post.
Yes, that is a great question. Great
But yeah,
question. And is it Tempe?
Tempe.
Tempe. That is a great question, Tempe. I actually just had like a whole bunch of laughter last night, even because I was thinking about some people who do that. It can get a little annoying, right? Now what you can do, I'll put a plug in. If there are folks that do that in your network that you don't necessarily want all of that, you can mute their post. Okay. So that when they are posting, you're not getting those alerts. But from the perspective of being a content creator, I would first ask you, is your audience on LinkedIn? That's number one. If your target audience is not necessarily on LinkedIn, then reconsider another platform. Okay. The second thing, if you are considering LinkedIn, be very intentional about kind of your content strategy, like arc, right? So in terms of your posting, are you posting polls to kind of get engagement with people? Are you providing kind of free resources, whether it's a blog or a digital product for people to engage with that will then redirect them to services that you're hoping that they'll engage with for your business? But be very intentional about kind of like what's the arc, kind of like that timeline, and what it is that you're providing for that base. Does that help, Hempy?
Yeah, definitely. And I actually I'm just looking for a job. I'm not I don't have my own business to promote, but I noticed that some colleagues and other people who are looking for work are like constantly like posting things, sort of, I think, just to get people to see their profile.
Yeah, absolutely. So if it's that, again, for those that are entrepreneurs, those that have side hustles, again, with that profile, with that open to, you can put either open to opportunities or open to provide services if you have a business, right? If it's from perspective of you're trying to get engagement for your business, you could be very strategic about what it is that you post. Now, if you're looking for an opportunity, to Tempe's point, I would say, again, those hashtags and following what it is that people are posting, engaging with other people's posts will also get attention to, okay, well, who is this person? Oh, they commented, they tagged someone on the post, they asked me a question, right? Or they sent me a direct message. Again, that's broadening the network, because I just saw someone just yesterday who said that he has been, and this was on X, formerly Twitter, and he said that he has applied to over 1,000 and has been rejected, like has received about 300 rejection emails. All the rest of them has just been like silence, right? And he's come to 6 rounds of final interviews and still no offer. And this has been going on for 7 months for him. Okay. So I will say that even when you see opportunities, it doesn't guarantee that an offer will come. That's why networking is so key, where people can vouch for you, right? When they're seeing opportunities, they're passing along, when they're able to kind of broach an introduction to someone, that helps, that truly helps, because they're, especially for remote opportunities, that is, that's very attractive in the market right now. So tons and tons of people are applying to remote opportunities, and also hybrid as well. So something to consider and keep in mind.
Super helpful. Thanks, Imani.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So as I shared, we will send the deck as a PDF. You'll have an opportunity. I hyperlinked where to connect with the Smith Business Network. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll nudge you to connect with a message as well. And then also if you wanted to connect with me for coaching, you can also, there's a link where you could set up an appointment. But thank you all for your time. And thank you also for your flexibility, even with the lag with the internet connectivity. But thank you all. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and your week.
Thank you, Imani. It's so great.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.